Welcome back and thanks for joining us. If you're new to our channel, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified of each new video. In the last video, we used easy stretch automotive carpet to cover the back doors and provide a thermal bridge to prevent condensation. In this video, we close up the upper and lower cabinets. The cabinets are what took the longest to complete, mainly because we'd never tackled this kind of project before. Stay tuned to see how we finish them up. Here's Destiny with the upper cabinets finished. Now she's ready for her electrical and solar setup appointment. It's the last one. To see the extensive list of tools and materials used for the upper cabinets, please check out all the details in the description below. Hey guys, this is Dory, and I'm Mena. We travel with our lovely dog Fiona to help you discover the most beautiful spots and to share with you what it's like to live as a nomad. So subscribe and welcome to our channel. Good morning and happy Saturday. It's July 3rd and 2 days ago we received our second vaccine, and luckily we did it in the left arm because we did have a little bit of soreness in our arms. So today what we're working on is closing up the cabinets. We're starting by the lower cabinets and then we're going to do the upper cabinets. We've never done this kind of project before. We haven't seen any videos. We had a little bit of direction from Gaetan and we're pretty much going to figure it out. So we have done a few projects on this van where we kind of figured it out as we were doing it, and I think that that's kind of going to be the same way. So it'll be a little bit of trial and error and hopefully we'll figure it out pretty quickly. So let's get to work.
For this video, we're going to continue with our cabinets. We made a couple of videos regarding the lower cabinets or beds and the upper cabinets. You definitely should go back and check those out before you watch this video. On this video, we're going to be closing the cabinets with plywood and covering the plywood with wood veneer. We used a 1/4 inch plywood to make the walls of the furniture. After measuring them, cutting them, sanding them, we were ready to start on the wood veneer. A quick tip when you're choosing your wood veneer: choose a pattern that's going to be easy to install. If you have a pattern with multiple lines, it will be obvious if your veneer is not properly lined up. Also, to avoid mistakes, make sure you're writing on the piece of plywood which side will be glued on.
Quick update. So now the glue's drying. It's contact glue, cement glue. What is it?
Contact cement, and this is what the wood veneer looks like. It looked a little ugly when we first bought it based on the sample that they put outside of it, but we actually really like it now that it's there. And then afterwards you could put like a little bit of varnish on it to make it to be a little bit more water resistant. So we're going to do like a rub on varnish. So the first two pieces were super easy. They were small pieces, but we did get glue on the front. We were able to remove some of it, and also the varnish helps to kind of disguise that. So we're just going to be super careful with the big pieces because this wood veneer is rather expensive. So you can get wood veneer that has glue already on the back of it, or paper backed, and we got paper backed. They actually didn't have the one with the glue on it. So if you do get that one though, you just kind of iron it on. So yeah, so I think we're ready to put them together.
Yeah,
what do you say before
go.
it starts raining?
Yep.
Put pressure down.
Now we use the roller. We'll show you guys on the next piece how we measured. Cut is really easy. We use a scissor. Sometimes you just get so busy, you get into it, like you're in the zone, that you totally forget to vlog. So the first thing that we did is cover the table with some paper. And now what Men is doing is everywhere she sees glue, she's putting tape over it because you don't want it to, it seeps through. Now we're going to do the veneer. So we did put the panel. This is how we trace it, so we know this is our line. And we don't even need to put glue on this side, right? So we just come as close as possible to the line.
But not over, because then it can seep over to the other side.
And it gets dirty. And this is why we protect it. You know, we put tape under, because if there's glue, then it'll show. And yeah, we did that mistake. So again, that's why we're putting these videos down, so you guys could see and learn from us. And for the glue, listen, straightforward. We used to use brushes, but then again, we saw this morning on a video somebody did these, how would you call these?
This is just 1/8 of an inch offcuts, and it works better than a paintbrush, because we were using paintbrushes before, and then we were scrapping between 2 and 4 paintbrushes a day, which is a huge waste. So this makes a lot more sense.
And it spreads good, so yeah.
It spreads really well, yeah.
Now it's...
So the channel that we saw doing this is, oh damn, I got it on the edge, called Cargo Van Conversion. He was using Formica though. It's a little bit different, but not exactly what we're using, but it was a good idea nonetheless. Okay, lift.
We started to cut the veneer, right, to make it nice and fit. But then I had the idea of just, instead of cutting, because if you work with the grain, like you could actually bend this, right? We could bend it and glue it. So it's going to be nicer and it's going to close this. Good morning, guys. Happy Sunday, early Sunday for us. And today we're gonna continue what we left off yesterday. We already did a few pieces and they look super sharp. We're just missing the varnish, and we're gonna do that today because it takes a little bit to dry. So right now we're figuring it out how we're gonna glue the plywood to the aluminum frame. We have the glue there. The beds will be easy. This is the glue we're going to use. Man is reading the instructions.
We need clamps.
We do?
For 24 hours it has to be clamped.
Okay.
It says, press surfaces firmly together. Use mechanical support for 24 hours during cure.
Some parts are making contact, some are not. It's clamped down. Man, I went to get more clamps. We definitely want to glue another piece. I think initially we didn't put enough glue. Should have put a little bit more. I don't think we're going to remove it. It's going to stay like this. If it's holding solid in a few spots, then I'm going to be happy with. Hey, good morning guys. Tuesday today. We came for a quick work. Not gonna stay long, but since we're in the middle of varnishing and gluing and it takes a long time to dry and we're not too far from the shop, we're doing little FCs.
This is what we're using. Circa 1850 antique paste varnish. One thing though, wear glasses when you use this. I got a little bit of this stuff in my eye. Luckily it was not the glue, so always wear safety goggles.
Now she's waterproof. So anyway, we're trying to hustle because if you look, it's pretty gray. It's supposed to rain, it's like an 80% chances, so we're really trying to hustle. So time to put on the time lapse and get to work. Wasn't sure how we were going to glue the plywood. You know what, with the clamps it works perfect, and we used a bunch of old furring strips that we had to tuck it in on this side. So we did put a little bit too much glue, especially on these sides. Doesn't come in contact, but hey, it is what it is. Or at least there's some good contact on the sides, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, we're not gonna put anything super heavy over here, so hopefully it does the job.
Good morning, beautiful people. We're so happy to be here on this beautiful Saturday. It's July 10th at 9:30-ish. And we have to make a fresh start today because it was Mom's birthday on Wednesday. So tonight we're going to a birthday celebration with the whole family. But in terms of the build, what's in store for us today is cabinets. So we glued up the bottom of this cabinet, took off the clamps, and we're over the moon that it's actually holding. Now this construction adhesive is so strong. It's crazy, crazy strong. It's like 8x strong. So that's gonna stay in place. And just to let you know, I mean, it's stuck on our hands. We haven't been able to get it off, and you just can't pick at this because it's literally gonna take a layer of your skin off. So next today we're doing the bottom of this cabinet, and so on and so forth. So every day we have to put a piece, let it cure for 24 hours, and then come back the next day and work on another piece. So we did sand this. Now it feels good to the touch. Before it felt really rough and just awful. So I sanded it a little bit, but I noticed it did take off some of the varnish, and you could see, you know, kind of exposed wood underneath. Now I don't know if it's, oh, and we got a little grass stain. I just really don't like that feeling that we were feeling before, and this is much better. So we got to fix that. So today is all about closing up these cabinets. So working on the bottom, working on the top. So once the top is gluing, then we can work on, for example, the side piece for right here for this cabinet, and we sand the other cabinet. So it's kind of like we're working on so many pieces right now. We're working on 4 cabinet pieces that even though we have to wait for varnish to dry or glue to dry, we can kind of do it in an assembly line style so that everything is getting done, but also that we're not, you know, sitting around waiting, twiddling our thumbs. There's always a project, there's always something to work on. The one thing that we didn't consider was making these cabinet doors kind of smaller than what we had originally anticipated. So We have to sand it down a little bit more. We actually took the jigsaw and removed some of the wood because it wasn't closing properly. We're gonna have to do that some more today. So if you're doing this type of project, we definitely recommend doing maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch smaller than what you think it is, because you're gonna need to make room for these pieces here. So we didn't realize that in advance because we've never done this kind of project before. So that's a little tip from us.
All right, so let's slap this into time lapse. Looking good. So we're just updating you guys on the progress so far. All right, so right now we're working on the last pieces for my side of the cabinet. They're a little bit more trickier because you have the round shape of the van, right? So we had to make a mold with the craft paper again. And then when you trace it on your plywood, we just add maybe an extra inch just in case. Cut it, fit it, and you keep removing until you're happy with the result. So those things are they're drying now?
Yeah.
So once they're dry, are we gonna put it?
No,
No?
It needs to dry for at least 24 hours.
Okay, so fair to say we start cleaning, or what's next?
Yeah, sure. Start cleaning up. Good morning, beautiful people. Today is Sunday, July 11th, and it's a special day for us because our brother-in-law Armando is helping us out. So you may remember him from when we did the driver's side swivel seat. He helped us with the dropping of the handbrake, which was quite an involved job. So today we're going to ask him to help us wire up the lights, and also he has a router, so we're going to create the holes, little kind of cubby holes in the upper cabinets, because we don't actually want doors. We want to save on the weight, and also we want there to be a little bit of airflow. So we're creating these cubby holes, and we're probably going to put either bungee cords or a little curtain for privacy. So that's what we've planned today. And as you can see, both of the lower piece of the upper cabinets are glued and nicely secured. So before we go any farther, we want to actually screw in the remaining spots that we drilled in the aluminum. We want to actually attach that to the ceiling because the cabinets are just getting heavier and heavier. Before it wasn't so bad because the cross nuts were connected, right? We have the hole through the cross nuts, so that takes a lot of the weight, but it was just aluminum. They were super, super light, maybe 7 pounds or 10 pounds, I don't know, really, really light. But now with the wood pieces, it's much heavier, so we really have to now secure those cabinets up to the ceiling. So we're gonna try and get that accomplished before Armando gets here, and then we're gonna create the face of the cabinet. We found this piece of wood that we're gonna use to create a template for the cubby holes in the cabinets. I'm like, well, what happened here? And he's like, don't you remember your injury? I'm like, whoa, you see what kind of damage this table saw does? That is just nuts. I'm happy that we don't have to touch that thing ever again. Oh dear.
So we're gonna use that as a template?
Yeah, we're gonna use it as a template. So we're gonna
smudge it.
Oh yeah, I think we're gonna smudge it. So you guys can call me superstitious or new agey, whatever you want to call me, and you may be right. But whenever we have something new, be it a vehicle, a new property, anything new that comes into our space or that we come into contact with, we always smudge it with sage. And that's pretty much to reset the energy. So any kind of negative energy that is stuck to that object, it gets smudged away. So it's cleaned and cleared and makes way for new positive energy that we bring to it. So I'm gonna do that now, just in case. We're getting the bad juju out of this.
The neighbor's gonna think you're crazy.
The neighbors are gonna think we're nuts. Hey, since we have this lit up, you know, for good measure,
Let's smoke it.
yeah, right. No, you don't smoke sage. But this is to clear out all the frustration, all the bad energy that may have been in here from our bickering, disagreeing, tiredness, grumpiness. Clearing it all. Now it's fresh energy.
Progress is good. However, we're gonna be missing a little bit of veneer. So we're gonna have to go to Langevin one more time, probably during the week. We got a different trim. We got a bigger one, so it's gonna hide all the imperfections, especially the corner ones. It's gonna make it super nice. We have the other side for the cabinets here. This is my side. It's ready to be glued on. That's probably what we're gonna do today. Right now we're working on the edge trimmer. This is what we purchased from Reno Depot. It's about $7 for a few meters. I'm not even sure how many meters in there. Here's the measurement, 8 by 25. So I think they gave you 25 feet. But we went to 2 roads and we're installing it on the edge. And of course, yeah, we're gonna varnish. This one is varnish. The way we're installing this, it's simple. So it comes in a big roll. First, you take the measurement that you need, right? So you just go around, make sure you have enough to cover everything. Cut it, because while you're gluing, if you have the entire roll, it gets annoying. We made sure to overlap a little bit at the end, like the ends, and then we cut it, you know, till you're happy with the result. On the reverse side, this is what we're doing. Initially, we have purchased this tool.
It's garbage.
Yeah. And this is the inside. So I really don't care that much how it's going to look. We figured it's best just to glue it on. So this one is iron-on. Makes things a little bit easier because we're working on the edge, and like you see, it's not that thick. So if we were going to put glue on that, it would have been a mess. And we definitely don't want any glue on the fancy side. This is the one we had. See, it's pre-glued. Works out perfect. So we figured the best way to do it is just cut and then you iron.
It's long though.
Yeah, it's very long.
It's an exercise in patience. So we think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks finished.
The varnish.
Varnish gonna...
Yeah, the only thing is some of the glue gets gunked up in some parts, but you just take a work glove, one of those rubber work gloves, and rub it off. Hey guys, so it is Saturday and we're working on closing up these cabinets. So I want to briefly explain how we connected these to our frames. So the first thing that we did is we veneered the pieces of 1/4 inch plywood, okay? And then we started with the bottom layer, and as you could see, there's construction glue there. So once this layer was glued, so all the glue was applied underneath to the aluminum, we clamped it, and it's an 8X construction glue. So we started with the bottom, and then we put that side over there, same idea, construction glue, and then we clamped it. And then the same idea with this front piece. Once it was veneered and done, then we glued and clamped it to the frame. And now this little off piece, because we didn't anticipate the cabinets being too long for the actual piece of plywood and the actual piece of veneer. So unfortunately we had to patchwork this piece here. So it's, we're gonna try and do our best to cover these little flaws here, but if not, we're gonna live with it because our van is perfectly imperfect like we are. So now we're putting on this final piece, which is the patchwork piece here. We put glue between the aluminum and the plywood once the veneer was already on. And as you can see, it's clamped and we have to wait 24 hours for it to dry. These end pieces are what we're using to pretty up the corners because they were looking pretty awful. And once again, we used construction glue and we're clamping it. Okay. What we did here to make a nice finish, or a nicer finish, is that we wrapped the veneer around the bottom and top edges of the plywood, and the same thing with this piece. And as you could see, it gives a pretty decent finish, so I don't feel the need to cover that with trim. Once again, we covered this piece of trim with veneer, and we put construction glue and we're clamping it in place. All right. What we did under here to hide this ugly piece here is that we put a little bit of this trim. So it's the exact same color as the wood. It's a red oak, but it's this edging and it's a glue on. It's a pre-glued, so all you need to do is iron it on. And that's the same thing that we did for these pieces here. Now, don't look at the inside of our cabinets right now. We still don't know what we're gonna do to pretty up the insides. That's gonna be details for later. For now, we're trying to get these cabinets done. The cabinets have been quite time consuming, but we're very, very happy with the result. And they're super light. It gives us a lot of space for storage. So yeah, so once this is done, then we're probably going to put the automotive carpet on the sliding door. We're gonna have to figure out a way to close this off. Not sure how we're gonna do that, but we're gonna figure it out. And then we're gonna move on to the laundry sink that's gonna be here and our fridge furniture that's gonna be there. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of how we connected all the pieces, like you see here, for example. So that's going to be covered up by a trim piece like this. So far so good. This is another thing that we have to cover that I'm not sure how we're going to do it. Now that we've almost completed our cabinets, I just want to go through a couple of details with you guys to give you an idea of some things that you might have to take into consideration. So we noticed going down the road that we heard some clank, clank, clanking, and you know, it's aluminum and plywood, so if it's coming into contact in some way, it's going to make that awful noise. So we're trying to eliminate noises going down the road that we could potentially reverse, stop, or find a fix for. So I couldn't figure out for the life of me what that noise was, but I figured out that it was the actual bottom cabinets because we have that plywood that comes up for storage. So what we're going to do to fix that is we're going to cut a strip of 1.5 inches of automotive easy stretch carpet and line it along the aluminum so that it has a little bit of a buffer and it's not going to be, you know, making contact and hitting the aluminum and making that clanking noise. So I'll show you exactly what I mean, although we haven't cut out the strips yet. Just like that. So we're gonna make some nice, oh no, there goes my curtain fabric. Anyway, so we're gonna cut out 1.5 inch strips here, and then we're gonna use the Lepage heavy duty adhesive to connect that, and then no noise. Next, I'm going to show you what we're going to do for the bungee cords or the fronts of the cabinet. So we had decided pretty early on that we didn't want to have to fuss with any kind of mechanisms to open doors. Also, we want to have airflow in the van to prevent condensation. So we have the cubbies kind of cut out of the cabinet fronts, and we want to cover it with curtains. We've already put the bungee cords across that the curtains are going to hang from. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with the curtains, and it's a pretty easy fix. So if you have a little bit of an ability with a sewing machine, this should be a simple project. These are some Ikea sheer curtains that we're just not using anymore. So they've already been, you know, sewn. These particular ones, they have the tabs, okay? And they have this little slot that the rod goes through. For our purposes, we need tabs, but because the bungee cord is already attached there, we're gonna need detachable tabs. So I'm gonna be replacing these tabs with fabric tabs. And this is the fabric that we're using for the slip covers of the couch. Now, we have so much of this fabric, I got it for free on FreeCycle, that we can use this as tabs. So what I'm going to do, these are 2 by 3 inch pieces. So we're just going to pretty that up like that. I'm going to sew the top there, right, just the top. And then I'm going to sew this over just to make a pretty edge. And then this side is going to have the buttonhole. And then on this side, I'm going to sew a button. And that's how those are going to keep the curtains on those bungee cords. And then once that is done, it's going to be easy enough to cut the curtains and then just kind of hem them, right? So a straight line, and everything that I'm talking about here is pretty simple. You're just sewing straight lines. The most complicated thing is going to be making that buttonhole in here, but you could just check out some YouTube tutorials on how to do that. So for us, this is a really, really easy fix. I figured out that I don't have enough of this top part to do all of the cabinets, but I'm going to have to, I guess, you know, take another piece that we're not going to be using and make a top part like this for the other pieces that we're missing. It's not going to be as professional looking as this, you know, because this is done on an industrial machine, but that's okay. Again, our van is perfectly imperfect, and that's how we like it. So I hope this helped you in some way, give you an idea of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that's going to be completing our cabinet series. So we really do hope that you found this series helpful. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. If you did like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really, really does help us out. And also, if you want to check us out on Patreon, you'll have access to member-only content. We want to say a big, big thanks to our new patrons, Robert and Anonymous. So we'll see you in the next video.